applications for Jonathan Lamouth, Timothy Park for Fire Company 1, and Ryan Lanshin for Fire Company 3, and junior auxiliary application for Christopher Zabo for Fire Company 1. CA3, approving firefighter applications for Sean Warner for Fire Company 3, and David Shader for Fire Company number 4. CA4, accepting retirement notice from Sergeant John Klein, effective January 1st, 2011. CA5, authorizing hiring of Marvin Cha as a public safety telecommunicator trainee for the Police Department Communication Center, grade 9, step A, $39,745 annually. CA6, awarding contract to Commercial Acceptance Company, Shermanstown, Pennsylvania, for ambulance billing collection services. CA7, requesting approval from Bergen County to make a use change for a 2010 Bergen County Community Development Block Grant application from improvements to Westview Street Park to improvements to 6th Street Park. CA8 is the same thing, except it's a 2011 Bergen County Community Development Block Grant. CA9, authorizing purchasing consultant to prepare specifications and advertise for bids or purchase through state contract for 2011 GMC Crew Cab 4x4 pickup truck, 1995 International 4700 with rescue body to replace special support unit vehicle, and replacement generators and transfer switches for fire companies 1, 2, and 4. CA10, requesting that the state legislator and the governor to exempt the reserve for uncollected taxes from the 2% cap. CA11, authorizing emergency sewer repairs to be made at North Central Road by Godhole Paving, Edgewater, New Jersey, $45,950. CA12, authorizing the hiring of winter seasonal employees in Recreation Department, termination date March 30, 2011. And CA13, authorizing professional services agreement for 2011 with the Bergen County Employees Assistance Program, $20 per employee.
Okay, before I open it up to the public, or a motion introduced.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Before I open it up to the public, I just wanted to address a couple. The seasonal hirings are, in fact, what they are, seasonal hirings. With regard to the dispatcher, we refer to it as a public safety telecommunicator trainee. That's a dispatcher's position. That's somebody that works in our communication center. There is an absolute unconditional need to make sure that that department is adequately staffed. Those are the individuals that dispatch our officers, ambulance, fire. Those are the folks that handle our 911 calls. We, unlike other communities, stay here in Fort Lee with our 911 calls to make sure that the quickest response is provided to the community, as opposed to going to MAWA and then that call comes back to us. Having said all of that, in this town for almost 3 years, we've been in a strict hiring freeze. There have been very, very limited hirings. I've made it clear, we've made it clear, the only exception to that freeze, in fact, is when we deem it collectively appropriate to hire to preserve the health, safety, and welfare of the community. This, in fact, is a hiring that we all collectively believe to preserve the health, safety, welfare of the community, which is a dispatcher's position, number one. Number two, this is to fill a void that was created in the dispatching department. This isn't an additional dispatcher. This is as a result of someone who is no longer there, passed away, as a matter of fact.
He died.
The individual that we're hiring, by the way, has 5 or 6 years experience, previously worked for the Leonia Communication Center. Leonia no longer has such a center, so this was a perfect opportunity to grab somebody with experience and bilingual in Korean American and English, which we collectively deem to be prudent. So, having said that, motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Anyone from the public like to be heard on any matter on the proposed consent agenda? Dr. Levinson.
Thank you. First, let me congratulate the retiree, Sergeant Klein, on his retirement, and I hope he'll be happy in the years to come. Number 10, I don't understand why the reserve for uncollected taxes has to be exempt from the 2% cap. It just doesn't. I just don't know what it's about.
The reason that this is a position that the New Jersey League of Municipalities has urged all municipalities to adopt. The theory being that unlike the rest of the expenditures of the town, this is not one that we have the same degree of control over. If we run into a bad economic downturn and people aren't paying their taxes, it's very hard to reserve for that number in any kind of controlled fashion. And that's why the League of Municipalities is seeking to get the legislature to exempt the reserve from uncollected taxes from the cap.
Oh, the money that you are collecting is exempt from the 2% cap?
Not the money that we are collecting, but the money that we don't collect, and therefore we have to put a reserve on the balance sheet. We have to put a reserve in the budget for what we didn't collect to make up for the deficit of what we didn't collect.
Okay.
It's also a formula that's set by the state. We don't really have control over the formula, so it's prudent that they put it outside their cap.
Also, could you explain CA 13, the professional services agreement? What
This
for?
is for our employee assistance program, so that if one of our employees needs help, we can refer them out to the county for, whatever it is, counseling or anger management or, yes, whatever.
Thank you.
Nina, do me a favor, come up and just take this fly sheet we received from the League of Municipalities on that issue. This is a plain language explanation as to what the purpose...
Do you want it back?
No, you can have it.
Thank you. We all have it.
It's a plain language explanation as to why we're proposing to adopt this resolution this evening.
As opposed to my explanation, Mayor.
No, your explanation was perfect. But as a matter of fact, I think you wrote it.
I think your explanation was perfect. It's just my mind that couldn't cope with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to be heard on any matter on the consent agenda, CA 1 through and including CA 13? No one. Motion to close?
Second.
Thank you. Neil, roll call?
CA 1 through CA 13, Mr. Pohan?
Yes.
Mr. Sommer?
Yes.
Mr. Goldberg?
Yes.
Ms. Kozowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Severi?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. We're at council reports. Councilman Pohan.
Very briefly, Mayor, I also want to congratulate John Klein upon his retirement from the Fort Lee Police Department after many years of meritorious, very meritorious service, and to wish him well in his future endeavors, and to wish you, Mr. Mayor, and my fellow council people a happy holiday. Everybody out there in the town, happy and healthy holiday and a happy and healthy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Sommer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I heard from Councilman Sargenti this afternoon. He is home ill, and he wanted me to wish everyone out there a happy and healthy new year, as myself. Happy and healthy new year to everybody out there, and a joyous holiday season. Congratulations to John Klein. John, welcome to the club of retirees. Another one that we have under our belt here. And I thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Was that a passing hint for me to retire, Councilman Sommer?
No, sir.
It wasn't. Councilman Goldberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also like to congratulate Sergeant Klein on his years of service, and I'm sure he will, after listening to Harvey, I'm sure he will enjoy retirement. And I, too, wish everybody a happy, healthy holiday season. Be careful driving, and don't drink and drive, and please have a designated driver. And just a little business. There's a Assembly Bill 2905, which is trying to put back the movie credit, the credits for people who are filming in New Jersey. Now, we always hear about the film and how Fort Lee is the, Fort Lee is the bed of film in the state. But what this thing does also is we've had a lot of programs filmed here, and it does create business for the local business owners. So it's not just that it's the business, it's the film industry, but it's our local businesses also. It generates a lot of catering, it generates gasoline at the gas stations, it generates a lot of things. These people are here maybe 15 or 18 hours a day, during the day, and they do use our stores, they do use our services, and it's just important that it gets done. One of the sponsors is actually the budget chairman, Lou Greenwald, who signed on to this because he realized the importance of having the film being done in New Jersey and the effect that it has on the positive effect it has on the local business. So please contact your local assembly people and your senators and tell them to vote for this and let's get it moving. It was introduced on June 14th. Nothing has happened. So just make your wishes known and let them know that it's important to the local economy of the borough of Fort Lee as well as other municipalities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Jan. Councilwoman Kozowski.
Thank you, Mayor Sokolich. The
Fort Lee Department of Human Services is having a tricky tray auction at the Church of the Madonna and the Church of the Good Shepherd are sponsoring a tricky tray for the Department of Human Services. Tickets are on sale, and the auction is the 8th of January at the Fort Lee Recreation Center. Basic needs like food, a winter coat, and medicine, just to name a few, are items we offer to people in need right here in Fort Lee. And they'll take donations of any new items. Gift certificates, lunch or dinner for two, goodie baskets, or anything that you can donate for a raffle prize to help Fort Lee neighbors in crisis. And if you have any questions, please call our Department of Human Services, 592-3500, extension 1511. And in this bitter cold, if there is anybody who is not getting adequate heat, that's what our Department of Health is for. You can call Borough Hall and call the Department of Health, and they will help you. And the Fort Lee Library has delivery of books. If you are homebound or you're stuck in this cold weather, they do have Friends of the Library on wheels that will deliver to the homebound, and you can reserve books online. Log in to fortleelibrary.org. You can make your reserve online and then just go pick it up when it's in. And with that being said, everybody have a happy holiday, happy New Year, and see you next year.
Thank you, Isla. Councilman Servieri.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to express my congratulations to Sergeant John Klein. John, well, welcome to the world of retirement. I know you're now going to be busier than ever, having known many retired people that are my age and younger. It's time now to start the next part of the career. On a very happy note, the Main Street Poets and Writers, book number 12, each year there's our group from our senior citizens, Richard A. Ness Center, that get together, and it's called the Main Street Poets and Writers, the group of writers who meet on Saturdays at the Richard A. Ness Senior Citizens Center in Fort Lee from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. They have a workshop for both poetry and creative writing. Here they discuss with established poets and writers works as well as their own. No prior knowledge or experience of reading or writing poetry or other forms of creative writing is necessary. In addition to poetry, they have read and written short stories of different genres such as mysteries, westerns, romance, slice of life. Together, they have collaborated on writing their own group of short stories. However, writers working in all genres to be their autobiographies, novels, plays, etc., are encouraged to bring multiple copies and share their works with their peers. All writers, beginners, and those who consider themselves experienced are welcome to join the Main Streeters. They're always happy to bring in new members into their writing community. As a group, they offer each other constructive criticism, support, and encouragement in a friendly atmosphere. This booklet is available at our Richard A. Ness Senior Citizen Center next door, and it consists of about close to 70 pages of very interesting literature. The contributors are Rosalind Ellen, Milton Ehrlich, Patrick Hammer Jr., Claire Lind, Jane Newman, Estelle Padua, Ben Perlman, and Marish Zatawi. Once again, they meet on Saturdays, and all are welcome to attend. The workshop is followed from 1 to 2 with the Senior Citizens' Own Book Discussion Club, and they're called the Page Turners, and all are welcome. And this is also put together by Barbara Weinman, our Senior Citizen Supervisor. So it's just another group of people who get together and help to establish more culture in our borough. Leading into culture, the Cultural Affairs Coordinator, Tom Myers, met last night with the people from the Historic Society, another group of very dedicated volunteers who came to our library with the request to get the library trustees to allow them to have the Ortlip family restore a very significant piece of artwork that was once commissioned by Arthur Bruni. That piece of art has been which has been displayed, probably not in the best of ways, to be kind, down at the meeting room at the library, was agreed to by the trustees to allow the Ortleb family to do a restoration of that piece of artwork. And then once it is redone and remounted, it will then be prominently displayed for everybody to see in that two-story atrium area of the library. This is an effort that was coordinated by the Historic Society, as well as the Arts Commission, and another group of very dedicated individuals who want to make sure that our culture is preserved here, not just for today, but for the future and for future generations. So I commend Tom and a group of volunteers who came in, and along with Councilman Somers' assistance, as well as my colleague, Councilwoman Kosofsky, for identifying a nice piece of artwork that's going to be preserved well into the future for future generations, for all of Fort Lee to enjoy. At this time, since this is our final meeting of the year, I'd also like to take this time on behalf of my colleagues to thank all the volunteers for the various groups that dedicate a lot of their time to make sure that the quality of life in Fort Lee is at its very best. We will, at the reorganization, be appointing new members, or then in some cases reappointing existing members to those volunteer areas, such as the Board of Adjustments. I'm not going to single out any names in particular, because if I do, I'm going to miss one or two, and that would be a shame, because they all put in lots of time when they could be spending time with their families and others, but they do this so that the rest of their neighbors can really benefit from their time. So it's the Board of Adjustment, the Advisory Committee for the Disabled, the Board of Ethics, the Fort Lee Film Commission, the Board of Health, the Historic Site, Structural and Cultural and Landmarks Committee, the Housing Authority, the Library Board of Trustees, let me keep going down my list here, the Local Assistance Board, the Parking Authority, the Planning Board, the Rent Leveling Board, Senior Citizens Council, the Sign Facade Committee. Once again, on behalf of our governing body, the Mayor and Council, I'd like to thank each and every member who volunteers their time to help make Fort Lee a great place to live, work, and raise your family. And with that, I thank you all. Have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, and a happy holiday season, and safe one for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Just before we open it up to the public, I too wanted to just join everyone's congratulations of John Klein, who's been a longtime officer in this borough. John's a resident here. He's active locally, and I'm glad to see that he's going to remain a part of the community. So congratulations to John and his family. I also wanted to just take special note of some of the folks that were being approved as auxiliary firefighters and junior auxiliary firefighters. You know you're getting old when you coached most of these guys in your past Little League experiences, so I guess I'm getting up there as well. And last but not least, in case I forget, from the bottom of my heart, every person in this town, may you have the happiest and the healthiest of holidays. I ask everyone to please enjoy them, to please be safe, to hug your family, and know that government here is at your side and at your beck and call if required. And since we're not going to have a meeting before the new year, may you have a happy and healthy and prosperous 2011, and God bless Fort Lee. Having said that, I need a motion to open to the public, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Would anyone from the public like to be heard on any matter, agenda or otherwise? Dr. Levinson?
I'm off the agenda. First of all, let me say the tree lighting was delightful. A little cold.
Yeah. Well.
However, I managed to get myself a first-class seat, heated and all, namely in my car, facing the tree and the podium. It was very nice indeed.
We almost didn't need that snow machine, right?
That was very nice. Yes, the two of us sat in the heated car.
We had 3 snow machines. 2 of them froze. Two of them froze, malfunctioned. There was
Of
only
the
one
snow
There
machines.
was only one that was working.
Yeah, it was bitterly cold.
Yeah.
But it was very nice indeed. And I thank all the people, in particular Mr. Kafaso, whom I know personally, for all the goodies and for being there and freezing too and everything else.
There were two...
Everybody else who was involved.
If I may, though, there were two individuals from the community center, Max and I think Eric. Correct, Peggy?
Yeah,
I mean,
and Sam Golly.
And Sam.
Sam
I mean, they worked and worked and worked.
I know there were a lot of people who worked.
Lane
And
also.
Lane, and they did a great job with the sound and the music, and they really got into it, and they stopped in every day for an hour or two, put everybody in the spirit. It was great. Thank you.
Now, on another note, there is another meeting of this body on the 23rd of December at 10 a.m. for a public hearing. The time is such that people who are working cannot attend. So as a public hearing, it is a very poor time. The ordinance was introduced last Thursday during the work session.
Yeah.
And many people would not be aware of it, except that I'm speaking about it. It's a user fee. And I resent a user fee. I don't care whether it's $5 or $500. I object to user fees.
I think that some of the council might even share that sentiment, but I will tell you this, Nina, just to be clear and so the public knows what you're referring to. It's the residential parking pass permit, and it's a $5 fee for a 4-year term. So it works out to about $1.25 a year. And I'm not trying to minimize the importance of it, but it's just to offset some of the costs of printing those permits.
I would rather see $1.25 every year on my taxes and not have a user fee. Once you start with a user fee, it starts with something and it grows. This is the nature of fees
Nina,
everywhere.
I think why would someone who doesn't drive, who doesn't have a car, then pay into something like that when, in fact, I mean, it's almost like saying, let's get rid of the tolls on the George Washington Bridge and charge everybody in Fort Lee the cost of running the bridge, rather than to charge the people who just use the bridge.
We are not responsible for the bridge. That's a poor example. However, I do have an answer for you, because I was expecting this. And I was expecting it from you. Okay, I know my counsel. We are paying a salary for rent leveling. Why should I pay for rent leveling? I'm not a tenant. And if I am a landlord, it's a two-family house, owner-occupied. I don't come under it. Why should I pay for something that is used by very few people in town?
Well, first of all, there's a constitutional mandate that we comply, and Lee, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, there's a constitutional mandate that we comply with the laws and statutes that require fair and statutorily compliant rents and increases and so forth and so on. So that's something we need to, hold on, that's something we need to comply with, Nina, otherwise we open the door
I fully realize this. This I know.
But I need to respond.
And I fully realize this. But we are paying for other people. We are paying stipends to the fire department. We are paying the police whether we use them or not.
I think we use the police every day.
Now New York is starting another user fee. If you have a car fire, you're going to pay for it. That's another user fee.
Wait a second.
Listen.
Don't give us that's a bad place to go, because don't give me any ideas.
But it keeps going.
Stipend, just so that you know, the stipend is for the volunteer fire department that is not on our payroll. Thank goodness, knock wood. And
Listen,
hold on, that stipend is based on actual calls made, and it's based on a grid and a certain number that you need to reach certain levels of the stipend, which is essentially to defray the cost and expenses that they generally incur.
I'm not complaining about any of this. I'm merely taking examples of we are paying, I'll tell you another user fee is the roads. The roads are repaired. They're repaired for the cars, essentially.
Well, it's also to get the fire and life safety people quickly to your home if in the event that you need it. How about, I have a question for you, though. Do you object to the ambulance reimbursement
No.
program that we did?
No, no.
That, in fact, is
The
a user
insurance
fee.
pays, I don't pay
That's
for
a
it.
user fee.
It's a user fee.
And it
Yes,
generates
it
almost
is.
$1 million to this borough, which now you do not have to pay as a homeowner.
It is a user fee, but my insurance
Nina, I
covers
think...
ambulance.
We're really going so far.
Yeah, we are.
What's going on?
Also, it is geared with a 90,000 expenditure for a parking lot, which I also will not use. I don't shop in Fort Lee.
That's a shame. You should shop in Fort Lee.
I can't afford it.
All right.
It's too expensive. But also, it should have been more of a public hearing at a time when the public can make it.
Let me just, if I could, just very quickly, some of the issues that you raised, you're talking about user fees. What you're talking about is maintaining a Department of Public Works in Fort Lee. You realize that if we didn't have a Department of Public Works in Fort Lee, let's say for any 2-week period during the course of a year, you'd probably be dealing with hundreds of potholes, fallen trees that would just lay there across the street, sewers that got backed up. You're talking about, Steve,
I think our DPW is wonderful.
you know, you gotta give me a chance to respond.
Yeah.
You kind of screaming fire in the theater here because you got to give everybody the facts. You're relating a user fee to the Department of Public Works, to a police department, to the fire department. I think that's a bit of a...
Well, it is a little far-fetched, I agree with you. But I couldn't think of any other user fee. The thing is, I think you also had a surcharge the other day. You raised the fines for parking violations and such like. Is there a surcharge now?
No,
I
I
saw
think
it
what we did was
I saw
we-
it somewhere. Not yet?
Years ago.
Not yet.
No.
Okay, but the parking violations are horrendous.
It's very easy to avoid them.
I know.
Put the quarter in the
I
meter.
think I had one in the last 20 years. All right, can happen to anybody. But I'm still,
I wish I were that way.
I still don't think it should be, and I'm making my voice known now. I probably will show up on December 23rd and delay you somewhat at that time when you're in a hurry to get out again.
I'm around for the duration.
But nobody else can come because people are working. And a public hearing should be during it. It really should be during it.
We thought of the 24th, but Santa Claus is coming.
Nina, the decision for this was we didn't think it to be that catastrophic of a determination, number one. Number two, we are at year's end and folks are coming in for their passes and so forth and so on, and we've been holding them off until we were able to do this. So we needed to get this done, and we needed to get it done quickly for the convenience of the public. That's why that was done. And nights are are available nights are a rarity this time of year, so that's why it was done that way.
Yeah, well,
Make sure it's on the webpage and get it out there.
This was started in the spring.
Okay. It's on
It
the
was started in the spring. It was delayed till after the elections.
Nina,
Let's be fair all round.
Point taken, thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
I don't think it's fair.
Anyone else from the public like to be heard? Yes, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Diane Sakari, 1525 12th Street. I too was at that work session meeting, and the negotiation that went on was for that $90,000 parking lot. I want to know if that's going to be part of this deal, because it says it's going to be a lot more than $5 for 4 years. Is this parking lot, I mean, the way to get the votes was, you know, you have to agree to this parking lot that we really don't need at this
May
time.
I ask you a question? No, and
Yeah.
are you supportive of that parking lot or not supportive?
Not supportive.
You're
I don't
not
think we need it, no. And I don't think we need to spend, I have to agree with the other councilman there that night, we don't really have to spend that money right now. I do agree with you. And I don't see a need for it now. And since the development hasn't gone forward yet, and we really don't know the final plans, planning for something that we really don't know seems kind of useless at this time. And to spend that kind of money in this economy, look at what happened with the school. I mean, I just don't think it's a good idea. This town isn't supportive of spending money uselessly.
That's where we met. We spoke about the schools a couple
Right.
weeks ago.
That's all right.
How are you?
Fine.
It's a point well taken, and I will tell you, you probably accurately summarized the other point to that parking lot. And that's why, quite frankly, I think it would be a fair statement to say that it wasn't acted upon readily. But there are demands from the merchants in that area. We do anticipate that those lots next door are going to be, hopefully, knock wood, very shortly consumed with other things.
The development.
Like development. So one thing that is on our side